Well, it is a blow to the economy of Port Alberni. A major retail tenant is closing its doors, throwing more than 100 employees out of work.
Hello everybody, and welcome to a video showcasing one of the most cherished retailers in Canadian history, Zellers. I will be taking you on a tour of my local store, which has been abandoned since March 30th of 2013, and will be popping in from time to time with history about the company. Zellers was a Canadian discount department store, and it was around for nearly 85 years before closing all of their stores in early 2013. The company was founded in 1931 by a man named Walter P. Zeller as, quote, "stores for thrifty Canadians." Over here, these markings were the checkouts. And these here, the grocery lanes. Because there was a bunch of everything. Here was the diner. There used to be a long hallway. I'll probably go outside after this, but there used to be a long hallway leading here, unless it goes over here. No. Oh yeah, here it is. These were all the tables. They took out the hallway. It used to be a long, that's just like the creepiest thing I've ever seen. The chain began its roots by purchasing 14 Canadian locations of the American retailer Schulte United, and the construction of a brand new building to which Zellers would occupy until all locations were liquidated. All stores were located in southern Ontario but expanded to the Maritime provinces in 1952 when Zeller bought the Federal Stores chain. This move acquired 12 more stores. I've always wanted to go back here. Is that bathrooms? And something? No. Look at this tile. And is this, oh, this is where you would exit to go to the bathroom, so I'm going to come back to that later. This is the window where you would set the food to be taken out. These are the doors. I guess you would take them out. And over here was the diner. By 1956, Zellers had opened its first self-serve location in St. Laurent, Quebec. By this time, the American chain W.T. Grant had come in and purchased 10% of Zellers shares. Me and my sister every Sunday, we would go to the diner, have chicken strips and fries and a shake. That's where the bathrooms are. These aisles, I believe, were think these were school supplies, because school supplies would lead right up to this I'm pretty sure used to be Canada Post. Canada Post. And pharmacy used to be here, I believe. I have no clue what this used to be. Just a random hallway. Okay. Over here was toys. Toys was along this back wall. By 1959, they owned 51% of the company. In exchange for the ownership, W.T. Grant provided the experience in merchandising and real estate, as well as store development, that Zellers did not previously have. Oh, I know what this is. My mom has one now in her store. So you would store extra merchandise upstairs and you would send it down. You would come around and you would load it onto your U-boats or whatever you called them. With this newfound knowledge, they opened many more locations with new innovations, such as the classic Zellers Diner, along with other add-ons like automotive centers. By 1975, Zellers adopted its final logo, in which it would keep for the remainder of its years. They had since expanded into the Prairie provinces and the West Coast. In 1976, Zellers had 155 stores with annual sales of up to $410 million, which would be $1.8 billion in 2018. Stuff over here used to be baby stuff, or this over here used to be baby stuff. Can't remember. And this black section over here used to be electronics. This closed 5 years ago, so I have no clue. Like, I know this whole middle part, like this used to be like the baby carriages. Like there were cribs and strollers here. I really want to go upstairs, but he said that there was a roof leak there's roof leaks over here, and that means there's probably a worse one upstairs in the employee room. I always check out the bathrooms. He said I can go on that thing, but I don't trust myself. Though Zellers was thriving, W.T. Grant was facing potential bankruptcy in its home of the United States, forcing it to withdraw from partial ownership of Zellers. Also in this year, the clothing department chain Fields, mainly located in British Columbia, offered to buy a 50.1% stake in Zellers, which equaled to $32,675,000. In 2018, that would be around $145 million. And this stuff over here was... I think it was like home stuff. Like you could get... It's so echoey in here. You could get Tupperware, electronics, like kitchen electronics, like your blender. This is one of the Zellers that actually used to have automotive. You could bring in your car and you could get serviced. However, Zellers shareholders were not happy about the idea of Zellers becoming a subsidiary of Fields, so Zellers quickly turned it around completely. They reversed the takeover and purchased the entirety of Fields department stores and their hardware store division, Marshall Wells. In this purchase, the founder and president of the Fields Company was made the president of Zellers. 2 years later, Zellers experienced some deja vu. They offered to buy the Canadian famous Hudson's Bay Company, owner of the Bay department stores. Since Hudson's Bay was more recognizable in the world of department stores, they flipped it around and purchased Zellers instead. None of the stores were converted into the Bay, since Zellers and Fields were recognizable enough to remain the same. In 1985, Hudson's Bay sold Marshall Wells since owning a chain of hardware stores wasn't relevant to the department store business. Seeing this kind of damage though. Those, I remember, would come on just in the middle of the shopping because sometimes the music didn't work. It'd be just silent, you'd hear like talking, all of a sudden those would come up on in front of you and scare you half to death. I don't know if it was always so dark back here or what. Around this time, the Atari became popular in Canada. Zellers, seeing the high demand for the system and its games around the holiday season, began making and selling counterfeit copies of games for the Atari 2600. Atari threatened the chain with a lawsuit, forcing Zellers to stop selling the fake games. By the 1990s, Hudson's Bay acquired 51 stores from the Towers Bonamart chain and turned all of them into Zellers locations. To promote this change, advertisements featuring Towers mascot Sparky and Zellers mascot Zeddy aired of them joining arms and walking away together. Also during this period, they acquired the new slogan, "The lowest price is the law." Accompanying this new slogan, a Christmas time commercial aired featuring Batman and Robin. I was told this where like the break room was and stuff. By the mid to late 90s, Hudson's Bay became a little crazy with taking over other companies. They bought the bankrupt Woodward's chain in 1993 and the failing Canadian branch of Kmart stores in 1998. A few Kmart stores were closed completely, though most were converted into Zellers locations. Things started to decline in the 2000s for Zellers, though. In 2006, they had 291 stores but lost $107 million. To try and help steady the decline, previous general merchandise head of Loblaws, the biggest grocery store chain in Canada, stepped in as president and CEO of Zellers. He got the chain stabilized in 2008, though they still struggled against its main rival, Walmart Canada. Said you're not allowed to go back there because that's where the really damaged part is, where it's leaking, so, which is fine. There's a lot of like settling noises, so that's kind of creeping me out. Though sales were up slightly, the company looked like a stain on the Hudson's Bay Company. On January 13th, 2011, the end of Zellers was in sight when Target announced the purchase of 220 Zellers locations for $1.8 billion. That's cute. They tried to make it look like it was a cute thing that they were doing. You get it. But this is where you could bring in your car if you ever had it. Needed to be fixed. That's not how numbers work. Zellers would continue operation until January of 2012, and more profitable stores would stay open until March of 2013. Stores then began liquidating all of their assets, and 64 Zellers locations turned into liquidation centers. We were supposed to get a save on foods in here, but with all this water damage and it's been closed down for 5 years, that now I see why they want the empty Sears space. This middle section used to be clothing. That's the mall entrance. I don't even know how to operate that thing.
Nearly all merchandise was sold by January 31st, 2013, including store fixtures and shopping carts.
These little squares, believe it or not, used to be the changing rooms. You'd walk in, little path. There's one changing room. There's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. I could barely stand in this and have enough room to like change my clothes. Like, what? What? My God. This section over here is where you would buy like lamps, bedding, stuff like that. And these were more checkouts. Yep. We had 2 checkouts. I can't get that off. It's like stuck on the ground. Wow. That is old. Shit. This Zellers has been open, or it was opened since the 70s, I believe. 70s or 80s, I can't really remember. I'll ask my grandma. I still have one thing from their liquidation, which is a bedding set. It was on sale for like $10, so.
Target would then renovate 100 to 150 of these stores to reopen under the Target name. 135 eventually became Target stores, while 39 others became Walmart locations. The remainder of them remain abandoned to this day.
Now I have no idea what used to be over here. I can't remember. I think, hold on, this was like Impulse. This was like the bigger, like this was as like a seen on TV things.
Though all us Canadians know, Target pulled out of Canada by 2015. Bright Sun Films does a much better job of explaining what happened there, so I'll link to their video.
Whoa, is that a part of an old flyer? Tearaway pants. Oh my God, this has to be from like 1995. I want tearaway pants.
Hudson's Bay eventually decided to keep 3 Zellers locations open as liquidation centers, though one closed in early 2014.
Just out of the corner there, that building, the blue trim, is the old Sears. Lovely. Welcome to Zellers.
One Zellers that had closed during the Target takeover reopened on April 3rd, 2014. This store is located in Nepean, Ontario, while one more location remains open in Kipling Queensway Mall in Etobicoke, Ontario.
It's a map. I wonder if I can take this. I want it. I'm taking it. What was in that corner? Was that the bed shop? is mine now. This is mine now. I really do miss Zellers. There was like a BuzzFeed article or something that I read. It's like Zellers is way better than Target. Why was it ever taken? Why is this here? Paw Patrol wasn't out when this closed, was it? I'll have to Google that. Well, I pretty much got all I wanted, so...
Many Canadians have fond memories of Zellers, myself included. Many believe that Zellers will reopen one day, and I too believe that. I think it would be a smart business move, since many Canadians have a sense of nostalgia when talking about the old retailer.
It's kind of bittersweet. I got this awesome video. I was able to go in one last time, but now I probably won't be able to get in again, which is sad. But oh man. Goodbye, Zellers.
Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. Abandoned retail spaces have always been an interest of mine, and being able to talk about one so dear to my heart really makes me happy. I'll link to where you can find me below on Instagram, Twitter, and Tumblr, and subscribe if you want to see any more content from me. I'll see you all later. Goodbye.
Attention, attention, family thinks high toy prices are joke.
Holy one-liner, Batman!
Drop your punchline, Joker! Listen, folks, only at Zellers are you protected by...
The law of Toyland. Nobody beats Zellers' prices on toys. Nobody.
You're protected at Zellers because the lowest price is the law.